Welcome to an all-new episode of SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. Thank you so much for joining us. And we are down to 2 in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. The SJHL Final is set between the Flin Flon Bombers and the Battlefords North Stars. And we'll get you all up to speed of what you need to know ahead of the final, which kicks off on Friday. Jeromy Corrigan, joined by Jamie Neugebauer, Rory McGouran. Fellas, how are we doing today? Excited for the final?
Oh, I can't wait. So exciting. Can also announce that we're all going to be on the broadcast, which I'm really, really fired up for as well. But Rory and I got to feel it last year, and both Estevan and Flin Flon was amazing. expect the exact same this year. What do you think, Rory?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the matchup, first of all, between the North Stars and the Flin Flon Bombers is going to be electric between those two teams. Just trying to analyze the X's and O's on our finals preview show today. That's going to be fun, but we know what the Whitney Forum brought last year in that 7-game series. I can't wait to see what the ACC has on the other side of the Battlefords, but you got two great teams going up against each other. I'm just happy I made it here for the playoff preview show. It was a little bit of a rough drive.
Let's address the elephant in the room. Yeah. Yes, we started a half hour later today. We teased it on our social media. Rory, do you want to explain what happened?
Well, it's just a flat tire issue, right?
Just a flat tire,
Of course, I do look in my trunk, and I've never had a flat tire in this car before, assuming there's a spare tire in my trunk. No spare tire. But I got to give a shout-out to Morrow's Marine and More out of Lumsden. Gave them a call. They're at my flat tire car in Craven in 4 minutes, and he has this tire off, fixed, packed, and put back in my car in another 4 minutes. So 10 minutes, we're back on the road, heading to the studio. Just a shout out for them. That was pretty incredible work to watch them do that.
Yes, I agree. Very well-deserved free plug. So Commissioner Kyle and Director of Marketing Jacob Faith can't get too mad at us. So yes, the SJHL final is set between the Battlefords North Stars and the Flin Flon Bombers. Before we analyze the matchup, though, let's talk about how we got here. Let's start. You guys haven't been on the show since Battleford advanced over the Melfort Mustangs. Let's just quickly, Nugsy, I'll start with you. Just get your thoughts on the Battleford sweep over Melfort.
Yeah, first of all, I mentioned it on the last show, Jeromy, illness played a part in Melfort having a hard time. Certainly, I think Battlefords was the favorite in a big way. Melfort did a good job in some metrics. Battleford was only 2 for 12 on the power play. They gave up, 13 grade AA chances over the series. The problem with that is 13 is not a bad number, but the problem with that is Battleford scored on 7 of them, so they just don't miss. Melfort, for comparison's sake, had 14 grade AA chances and only scored on 1 of them. So that's not as good a ratio. But yeah, it was kind of a weird series. To be honest, Melfort, gave as best they could given their illness situation, and again, Melfort didn't just pump shots or anything like that. It was just when they had a chance, it was a grade A chance, and they buried. And when you give this Battlefords team opportunities, good night, Jim Kite. It's over.
Yeah, I think if you're going up against any team in the SJHL, any team in the country, Battlefords isn't one you want to go up against when you're dealing with, half the team with an illness. So unfortunate circumstances for the Melfort Mustangs, but that's the North Stars that have been all season long. They take advantage of their opportunities. Was Melfort a little bit labored? They were. Battlefords isn't going to let them off easy, right? And it's just a juggernaut. Top 4 leading scorers in the regular season. They're back the same 4 here in the playoffs with Southgate, Dole, Bell, and Kesslering. It's a lot to handle, and we saw it there in that 4-game sweep. But Battleford's on the road right now. We're talking about going into the Whitney Forum. Will they have troubles? They've allowed 3 goals in 4 road games in these playoffs. They just have not been, you can't score on them even in your home building. Right. So will the Whitney change that? They're going to have to, because Battlefords has been amazing on the road, let alone at home, where they've just, kept all system rolling.
Yeah, and sort of we'll preview the finals, and I have a point to say what you just said there, so we'll hold that thought for a second. But to your point about the big 4 for Battlefords, you mentioned it: Kean Bell, Jake Southgate, Holden Dole, Steve Kesslering. We're going to say their names a lot. Get used to it.
Yep.
30 goals, 73 points.
That's crazy.
In the playoffs so far.
That's nuts.
For those guys. Those guys have scored 30 goals. Battlefords just scored 41. But I'm not worried about that if I'm Brayden Klimosko, because your best players have to be your best players. And 13 goals for Kean Bell. The list goes on. They've been their best players.
Their PK's also been much better than it has in the regular season, which is huge for Battlefords. We marked that as maybe not a glaring concern, but it can't be under 80% in 100%. The playoffs. And it's not. It's at 87 now. So that's something they really shored up.
Yeah, and they shored it up right after those first 2 games against the Weyburn Red Wings, because the Weyburn Red Wings in the first 2 games of that series got 2 power play goals in game 1 and 2. Shifting now to Flin Flon and Humboldt, the Flin Flon Bombers getting some, I think, well-deserved rest after finishing off the Humboldt Broncos in 5 games Friday night. I mean, it was a 5-game series, but it was so much closer than that. Rory, just get your thoughts.
Yeah, you know what? Flin Flon just has the Humboldt Broncos number, and there's really no way other to put it, right? 3 straight playoff series wins now in 4 games, and then the other 2 in 5 games. It hasn't really gone that long. Flin Flon has won 8 straight games in the playoffs in the EPA, so they've taken care of every one of their road games. And I know Humboldt's looking at that series thinking they were the better team in a handful of those games. But you know what? Did they have more expected goals for? Yeah. Did they have more high-grade scoring chances? They did. But Flin Flon took advantage of those chances that were given and really limited the Broncos. You know, there wasn't much there, but when they did have it, the offense kind of dried up, and you didn't expect that to happen for the Humboldt Broncos. But Flin Flon, yeah, they just kind of got the Broncos number right now, and it's something they're going to have to shake off in the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, to your point, Rory, like I'm sure the Broncos might be sitting at home and being like, maybe we're the better team, and they have an argument. 5 games for a series, like it was weird, kind of again, because it was hard to understand if you look at the deeper numbers. Again, it was a hard series to understand. You know, how it can go five games and how, you know, it kind of worked. But Flin Flon did average 13 shot blocks per game.
Oh, they were
and
all
they were
over
blocking
the front of the net.
like crazy. Yeah, Humboldt averaged 9. So again, Humboldt wasn't bad. It was just that Flin Flon had 13 sort of key blocks a game on average, which was big. And, you know, the power play dried up for both teams big time, which is going to be a very, very interesting piece. You know, if Flin Flon is going to make this a big series here, the power play's got to be a lot better than it was. They were 0 for their last 15. Flin Flon Bombers power play was, you know, to start. They started 4 for 11 to start in the first couple games, and then went 0 for 15 after that. But guys like Alexi Silvestri stepped up big in the middle. You know, he was over 59%, around 59% on faceoffs, and over 60% in the D zone at the faceoff dot. And he took over 200 draws. Did Alexi Silvestri, an 0-4 for Flin Flon. Brett Gulenchin again. Grady took up a big role as the veteran guys who were, you know, let's be honest, are mostly wingers for Flin Flon.
Right.
They needed some centermen there to step up, and Gulenchin was around 54%, which is again a great number for these 2 young guys playing down the middle for Flin Flon. And that, you know, those little details, blocking shots, winning big face-offs, you know, not giving up great scoring chances in great areas. You know, Humboldt had 51 grade AA chances in this series, and that's you know, I measured that by 0.1 expected goal plus.
Yeah.
So they had 51 chances, the Broncos did, which is really good, and gave up only 29 to Flin Flon. So Flin Flon just didn't have nearly that many scoring chances, and Humboldt only scored on 6 of them. So again, you give Harmon Laser-Hume a ton of credit. He was awesome. And the Broncos maybe gripping the sticks tight. I don't know. Maybe you were around them as people a bit more often.
Well, the one thing, when you can't do it in the playoffs every game, is start from behind the 8 ball.
That's true.
Yeah,
and that's what happened, right? Whether it be a lucky bounce here on a couple of goals, sure, but Flin Flon found the first goal in all 5 games. Humboldt was constantly starting from behind the 8 ball. Flin Flon's one of the best teams at protecting the lead, protecting their house. Yes, the high-grade scoring opportunities were there, but Humboldt just seemed to be chasing the game. And then in Game 5, when you look at that second period, you guys were all there. 13 straight shots for Humboldt to start the second period. Couldn't score. Flin Flon comes back. Ethan Mercer, 1 shot on net, finds the back of the net. It just seemed that once they found their footing, it slipped away, and the Flin Flon Bombers just made them pay and made them start behind the 8 ball. That's really tough to find success in the playoffs. When you do think you're the better team, you're starting from behind, and you can't have that.
Yeah, and Humboldt, to that point too, won for their last 16 to end the playoffs, or in the series on the power play.
Yep.
And again, both these teams were awesome with their special teams this year. And we'll have a graphic for the finals, and you'll see, you know, how good Flin Flon special teams were. Again, Humboldt did a great job on special teams, keep killing penalties. Not a good job scoring. Flin Flon didn't have a good job scoring either. It was kind of a crazy series, crazy bounces. But your point about Flin Flon going ahead, they scored the first goal. Flin Flon did 8 times out of 12 games so far this playoffs, and they're 7-1. The Bombers in these playoffs when they scored the first goal. So, you know, that sounds like it's going to be a pretty big key in the finals.
The first goal of the game? I think so.
I think that's a safe assumption. I think just final thoughts on the second round. I think it was 2 second-round series we were all very excited for. 2 second-round series we all thought might go 6 or 7 games. And the way that these playoffs have been when it comes to the predictability, it shouldn't come as a surprise that they just randomly will end in one in a sweep and 1 in 5 games. Expect the unexpected in the SJHL playoffs. And moving on, now the final is set. So now that we've had a weekend to let it sink in a little bit, Nugsy, I'll start with you. When it comes to this final, Battleford and Flin Flon, what were your initial thoughts when you see this matchup?
Well, my first thought is that especially everybody around outside Saskatchewan, sent me a message and said, clearly Battlefords is the team to beat. Am I right? And I said, well, it's almost like Battlefords needs to forget about the regular season and start it fresh here, and Flin Flon needs to remember the regular season and start it fresh here. And what I mean by that is Flin Flon played some electric, great hockey in the 4 games that they played against each other in the regular season. You think back to those neutral site games between Flin Flon and Battlefords, the one in Wilkie and in Battleford Arena. Josh Cote was brilliant on both of those occasions, but he faced 60 shots in Wilkie, and somehow Battleford found a way to win. And that free night in the North, what they called it,
Hockey Night in the North.
Hockey Night in the North. That's right. Back in February, Flin Flon blew them out like nobody else really had. Maybe Humboldt in Martinsville, I think, also put a good number on Battlefords, but really just kind of 2 tough nights on the whole year, really, for Battlefords. And so, people say, oh, Battlefords is the team to beat, number 1 in the CJHL, blah, blah, blah. Rory, I think this is as tight a series as it could possibly be, and probably, and if I'm being honest, with no disrespect to anybody, the 2 best constructed rosters top to bottom in this league.
Yeah, I think it is closer than many people think. The Battlefords North Stars are going to be hard to contain every game in and game out with the amount of firepower they have. But we saw what Flin Flon did to Humboldt. Like, they got the first chance, you're not getting the second chance on that defense group, right? So they're going to have to do the same. I also want to lean on the experience. I know Battlefords has some of it, but Flin Flon has a lot more of it heading into this finals, right? Game 7, going to Estevan, knowing what it takes. I love the quote by Mike Reagan saying the Whitney Forum will take care of us. It has to take care of them in this series. And playoff experience, especially guys that have been to an SJHL finals, I think has a huge amount of weight on it. So that's going to creep Flin Flon back in towards the picture and making this series a lot more even. Flin Flon 4 times in the last 6 finals have been there, right? So Mike Reagan, you know how bad he wants it too. But Brayden Klimosko has won it twice as a player. He's looking to win it twice as a coach now too. So, I think there's so many storylines, but let's not say that Battleford's going to run all over Flin Flon. Flin Flon's going to be right there.
And to that point, we expect Flin Flon will be healthier.
That's a huge key.
Yeah, that's a big story. How healthier? How will they stay healthy? We don't know. These are questions that are really going to make a big difference in the story, right? Because this Battlefords team, they will punish you if you're not at your full strength. So that'll be a big key for Flin Flon too.
Well, look at the 2 goaltenders as well. Just right now, I know their goals against are, I think it's 160 and 170, right around that
Pretty
number.
close, yeah.
But they both have identical 945 save percentages. They've both played every game in these playoffs, And we talked about not any goaltenders except for Joel Favreau coming into the playoffs having experience. Well, these 2 have just been a shining star. So which one's going to hold tight for, a little bit longer and try to get their team a series? I think goaltenders are going to be absolutely imperative in this series.
And both goalies have gotten better as the playoffs.
Oh, they've been fantastic.
I want to pull up the schedule for the SJHL final between Battleford and Flin Flon, because going back to your point about the health, Nugsy, I think the fact that the games are a lot more spread out compared to last year's final when it comes to the schedule, and that could be beneficial when it comes to the health of both these teams and for whoever ends up winning the SJHL final. What are your guys' thoughts on the schedule where you see game 1 and 2 are Friday, Saturday in Battleford, and then games 3 and 4 aren't until the next week, Friday and Saturday? Nugsy, you want to go first?
Yeah. Pardon me. I love it. Couple of reasons. 1, more time for preparation means better quality hockey, and we're all in it for better quality hockey. And to your point, we want a tight, good, hard-fought series. Right. Whether Flin Flon will be fully ready to start, Mike Reagan has shown that he's willing to play the long game in series as well. We watched it in the first round against Estevan, where he said, maybe this guy would be ready if we were really in trouble. Maybe this guy will come in when we are in a bit more trouble. Can kind of play with that, and having a little bit more time, I think, is helpful. And also just, last year was just bananas with the travel. Rory and I don't know how you felt, but I felt like I was in the International Space Station, and I didn't get to see my family very much. I think that's a big element. And the final thing is, before I hand it off to your thoughts, Rory, is everybody wants Friday, Saturday gates. That makes more money for everybody.
100%.
And the Whitney and the ACC are going to be bananas even more as a result.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'll take away from it. I love it in the finals. I wouldn't want it to be this way in an opening round.
Absolutely.
I don't like having it so spread apart where you kind of lose momentum in terms of people feeling
100%.
the game, feeling the series. This is going to benefit Flin Flon, though, having it a week apart and not having a Tuesday, Wednesday game. We know the Whitney Forum is going to be packed anyways, right?
Right.
But you're going to get probably an extra 250 people. You know, you're going to get more potential for a sellout having it on a weekend where people, you know, not as many people work. They're able to travel. They're able to stay for both games. So having it stretched out for health reasons and for gate reasons for the bottom seed and the Flin Flon Bombers, I think it's a big advantage for them, having it a Friday, Saturday game for games 3 and 4 as opposed to a Tuesday, Wednesday game. But it's a win for everyone across the league having Friday, Saturday in both the ACC and the Whitney Forum. I love it for the finals 100%.
Well, and the final point I want to add too is playing the long game. It also benefits the entire SJHL, whoever comes out of this series at the Centennial Cup.
Yep.
Because we saw last year between, you know, Estevan and Flin Flon, after playing a 7-game grueling series, now you got to play in the Centennial Cup and you're not as rested.
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of two sides of that coin, Jeromy, because I think in some ways there was maybe too much time between the finals last year and the Centennial Cup also. I mean, people wanted to get rested and whatever, but I think maybe, at least in Estevan's case, it looked a little bit like they weren't, you know, fully there with the Centennial. I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody, but you're
not wrong. It wasn't their best performance.
It wasn't. No, they
I
weren't
think.
great. Flin Flon
right.
was better, but you know, again, it's kind of like, I think it makes a perfect amount of time now that we don't have the regional tournaments to decide. We don't have that best of 7 with the Manitoba League. The winner of this series, there's no like last year where it's kind of like, will they battle, where they go hard because they're both in the Centennial, blah blah blah, and obviously it turned into a great series.
Right.
You have to win this series to get to Portage. Which is also going to be awesome. We could talk about that later in the show, or later in the weeks coming ahead here. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's phenomenal all the way around, and it's good for me because I get to see my wife and kids.
If it goes to Game 7 in the SJHL Finals, there'll be a week in between.
Yeah,
I believe May 10th is when it started, or the 11th.
Which
so
is perfect.
regardless,
for me,
7 or 8 days for the Centennial Cup.
Yeah.
But
as opposed to 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, that's a great time frame to not kind of lose that forward propelling momentum, but also get healthier in the span for the winner.
I think it's a good happy medium.
Yeah.
And I think the way that they're going about this, and it, like Rory said earlier, it benefits everyone.
It benefits everyone for Friday.
At the end of the day, I think this is a win-win for everybody across the board. Yeah. The teams, the league, the broadcasters, especially Neugsy.
Especially me, yeah.
So it's a win-win for everybody.
And my last point is, coaches are always like, we don't have enough time to practice. We don't have enough time to make adjustments. And that's probably fair enough because they need to get healthy and blah, blah, blah. It's a real grind. But this gives maybe a day or two you can practice at your home rink and get things ready. And it's just going to make the quality of hockey even that much better.
100%. Well, coming up after the break, we are going to be joined by the head coach and general manager of the Battlefords North Stars, Brayden Klimosko, get his thoughts on the final and much, much more. This is SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.
For victims of domestic abuse, fleeing may mean leaving everything behind. There is hope. SaskTel provides brand new cell phones so that starting over is possible. Learn more at sastel.com/fresh start.
Get red and ready with Case IH and Young's equipment. From Case IH combines to MacDon headers, Young's carries all the best in new or pre-owned harvest equipment. With field-ready, industry-leading equipment and highly dedicated service staff, we're here when you need us most. Come experience our award-winning service for yourself and visit youngs.ca to find your nearest Young's equipment location.
At Viterra, we believe in the power of connection. Our world-leading agriculture network connects producers and consumers to supply top-quality food ingredients each and every day. Our team takes great pride in working closely with farmers to help feed the world. It's something we've been doing for over 100 years. And as an industry leader, we're dedicated to playing a critical role in meeting the needs of a growing world. Because together, we're stronger and achieve more.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year. Everyone wins.
The SJHL raffle is underway with your chance to win a brand new Polaris side-by-side, courtesy the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Tickets are available now until April 23rd, with the draw taking place live on SJHL Insiders April 27th. 1 for 25, 3 for 60, or 10 for 100, but there are only 5,000 tickets available. Get yours today at sjhlraffle.ca. Welcome back to SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. It's Rory, Jamie, and Jeremy. Thanks so much for joining us, and we're going to head now to the video chat line where we're pleased to be joined by the head coach and general manager of the Battlefords North Stars, Brayden Klimosko. Brayden, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today. How's it going?
Good, and you guys?
We're doing great. We're excited for the final, just like I'm sure you guys are. Of course, you guys punched your ticket to the final on Wednesday against the Melfort Mustangs. I know that was about 5 days ago, Braden, but maybe just give us your thoughts on that series and that sweep against Melfort.
Yeah, I think overall, you guys touched on it earlier. Melfort wasn't feeling their best, especially early on in that series, and took advantage of them here, I think. And, back at home, Josh might have stole us one in game 3. Thought Melfort played pretty hard and, probably outchanced us a little bit. And, we were able to allow Belsey to get on a breakaway there. And usually it's usually a good sign and usually a good result when that happens. And of course he buries. And then game 4, was another good game. So, obviously felt pretty fortunate, to be able to, get them in 4.
Yeah, Braden, I always appreciate your time and you're very thoughtful, so appreciate that as well. Just tell me about this top line. It's been talked about all year, Kean Bell and Jake Southgate and Holden Dole. What makes them so special, as a line in your mind?
I think they just bring a little bit of a different element to each of them. That's what, you got your workhorse in Jake, and you got your playmaker in Holden, and then you got your finisher in Bell. So I think they bring a little bit of a different element to each of them, and it makes for a pretty good line overall, obviously. So I think that's what's so special is they just it works it works so well with all 3 of them.
Braden, you guys knock off the Melfort Mustangs in 4. You find out Flin Flon defeats Humboldt in 5 on Friday. That's going to be your opponent in the finals. Now you got all week to lead up to games 1 and 2 at the ACC. What's kind of yours and Gary's biggest, point of detail watching Flin Flon, get their revenge over Estevan and then taking out Humboldt, and what they do so good on the ice that you're going to need to have dialed in throughout this week of practice leading up to games 1?
Well, I was there obviously Friday night, just it worked out perfect. Obviously it's hometown, so it's there for Easter anyways. Is the way they keep Humboldt to the outside, they defend so hard and they block shots, and it must have frustrated the heck out of Humboldt at times. And, I think that's the big thing for us is how are we going to score goals? I think that's our biggest, attribute to our team is why we've had successes. How are we going to score? And I think that's the most important, in the next 4 days is trying to figure it out and really trying to stress, being there live and seeing how good they can defend and even without some of their top end guys, the last month for them to be able to win the games they have is showing how well they can defend and keeping guys off the score sheet.
Braden, with you guys wrapping up your series on Wednesday in total, that's about 9 days off between your last game and the start of the SJHL final. How beneficial is this time off for you guys?
Yeah, I think it's huge. Anytime that you can end a series off early and able to heal up some nicks and bruises and just some war wounds is always beneficial. So it's even nice just not to be at the rink every day, giving the boys the weekend off to just get away from the rink and, come back refreshed here today. And I think that's just as important mentally as it is physically.
Braden, you've been around this league a long time now. You understand what it's like at the Whitney Forum when it's going up there, obviously, for games 3 and 4 and maybe beyond. And you watched the finals, I know, last year, paid attention as well, and what it was like. And you got a taste of that in February, I guess, with a couple games there too. I guess, how are you, preparing your guys in some ways to go up there and compete? Because it seemed like it was a real, battle and a challenge for you guys back in February. And it seemed like it was a real challenge for Estevan in the finals last year too. And you guys in the playoffs last year too, because obviously you guys faced them.
Yeah, my whole career it's been a battle, it seems. So yeah. I'm trying to lean on Chili. I'm trying to tell him what's the secrets of that place that I'm missing out on. So it's something that we got to work towards. But the one thing cool about this series is, like I told Chili, we'll worry about Whitney next week. We got to worry about playing here this week, which is the real benefit of the way the schedule is you just worry about Friday night tonight, this. Till Thursday about Friday, and then you worry about Saturday for the next night and go from there, and then you got a whole week to worry about the Whitney. So I think that's the most important is obviously we're gonna have to play well there, and I told our guys we gotta act as if it's like any other rink, but we gotta worry about this week first, and then next week we'll worry about there.
And I kind of want to piggyback off that answer because, the SJHL announced their schedule for the finals where it's going to be a week in between. Both teams will get weekend games for their 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. How do you feel about that? Do you like that? Because Nugesy's point was really, astute. He thinks it's going to bring out the best hockey to maybe have a little bit of extra time if you need to make a correction in between games 2 and games 3, that you'll have that this time. It's also going to bring packed crowds in both buildings. So just your thoughts on that schedule alignment for games 1 to 4.
I would agree, Rory. I think that's the one thing is you're going to see, the best hockey possible, great crowds, in both rinks. Both teams will be prepared and fresh for those games. So, I think the one thing that changes a little bit is you always see a series where one team wears down another team. Mm-hmm. In this case, I don't think anyone's wearing anyone down. It's going to be two sprints to the finish surely at the end of the day. And that might adjust the way you're going to be coaching necessarily is to, understand that it's not going to be, where it's a ground and pound type of series. It's going to be, it's going to be a sprint, for all 7 games.
Let us into the coach's office just for a second here, Braden, because obviously for those that you of home that don't know, your assistant Gary Childerhose was Mike Reagan, your adversary's assistant there for a while in Flin Flon. So what details are you kind of mining from the mind of the Chill to get at Mike Reagan? Because obviously he's been a great coach in our league for a long time. I don't need to tell you that. What are the details that you think you guys can use maybe to try to hurt them?
I'm trying to pick Chili's brain as much as possible. He seems like he forgets some of them, though. I was like, why didn't you write some of the stuff down when you were up there? So he's, we're trying. And you know what? It's funny, though. Coaches change over the years, and change their philosophies. And you change with your personnel as well. I understand. Your teams are always different and built differently, I feel like. And, I think the one thing, that Mike does such a good job, obviously being in the league final 4 out of 6 years or something, he's finding ways to get there every year. So he's doing obviously a lot of things right. And, it just shows how good of a coach he is and how good of his teams have been over the last couple of years.
I mean, you talk about experience, though. You know, you have just as much as anyone, 2 championships as a player, 1 as a coach, looking for your second. Now when you're going into your finals, you know, you don't have a lot of experience in terms of the finals. With your roster, how much do you lean on your playing days, or maybe back when you won a championship a few years ago, to inspire what is needed in that championship round?
I think I have to a little bit, you know, try and help them as best I can. And, you know, I think the experience we've had the last year losing out and stuff, you know, I think we've gained more experience as the playoffs have went on. You know, Weyburn did not give us an easy out in the first round. They played us hard, and Melfort played us hard. And, you know, I think overall you just, the only experience you're going to learn from is the ones that have been ahead of you here. So, you know, basically, you know, our guys are going to learn from, you know, what they've learned this year, as well as I'm going to try my best, you know, and to try and help them through this process, which is exciting. You know, I think overall we don't have the experience like Flin Flon has, you know, and I think that's, you know, an advantage to them. But, you know, I still think we've got players that want to get there and that are competitive hockey players and want to win a title. So I think that's just as important, and looking forward to this challenge for our group.
Yeah, obviously appreciate it. Okay, quick 4 rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Sure.
It's time. I'm not sure if you heard my car mishaps coming to the show with my flat tire. If you had a flat tire, would you be able to patch it and fix it in 10 minutes and get to the show on time?
Oh, never. Anyone that knows me, my dad is so handy. He does everything for me. I'm basically useless, you know. Like, so it's funny because my brother-in-law who lives with us, he's our trainer. Anything that goes wrong in the house, my fiance is telling him to go fix it because I can't fix nothing. So I'd be hitchhiking all the way to Regina if I was you.
I was pretty close. Obviously, if you do get a chance to lift the Canterra Seeds Cup, you've seen people in the past with the Stanley Cup put some obscure items in there, you know, Phil Kessel with hot dogs, some people with bowl of cereals. Do you have any obscure item that you'd want to put in the Canterra Seeds Cup if you won it for your 4th time?
You know what? I never even thought of it. I want to get there so I have a chance to think about that. Yeah, I just want to win it, and then we'll worry about what we put in there next.
Sounds fantastic. How about an impression of, you know, your fantastic broadcaster, Marty Martinson? Have you dialed in one of those yet?
Oh,
it's high energy, baby.
It is. You know, it's definitely high energy. I wish I could impersonate him on the bus when he loses internet, because he just starts swearing and cussing at his computer, and
wow,
he still forgets that when we go up to Flin Flon, there's no internet on the way to Flin Flon. Like, man, we've got no data for 3.5 hours there, man. You got to get your story in quick. So I wish I could impersonate that, but there'd be too many cuss words on this show.
Well, for the amount of tweets and the amount of stuff that guy pushes out on every Battlefords news, I can't imagine the turmoil he's going through when there's no internet, right?
Just say, Braden, just say, ring the bell.
No doubt, hey.
Final one. You know, we talked about the Whitney. You talked about it. How ruckus is it up there? Sell the ACC, because we know it's going to be big this in games 1 and 2.
It is, you know, and that's, you know, we've got a great barn with great fans that, you know, that are passionate about their community and their town and their team, and, you know, we want to make it as difficult as it is, you know, as any place. You know, obviously our record speaks for itself here, you know, in the playoffs and the regular season, and, you know, the one thing that we know is it's not going to be easy for anyone to come into our rink and win a hockey game.
Love it.
Well, Braden, we really appreciate your time. Congratulations on making it back to the SJHL final, and we'll see you at Game 1 on Friday.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Looking forward to it. You guys do a great job. You know, looking forward to seeing you guys Friday.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Braden. That is the head coach and general manager of the Battlefords North Stars, Brayden Klimosko. And after the break, we will talk to the head coach and GM of the Flin Flon Bombers, Mike Reagan, get his thoughts on wrapping up their second round series and advancing to the SJHL final. This is SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel, because we're everywhere, keeping you connected. To your family and friends, to your history and culture, to those traditions that make us who we are. SaskTel cares, always has, always will, because we're dedicated to our home.
Sask Energy Network members are the best choice for natural gas solutions for your home or business. With comprehensive services like heating equipment maintenance, appliance installation, and in-store financing, they have natural gas solutions that go beyond heating to bring you the comfort, efficiency, and reliability of natural gas, both indoors and outdoors, all year long. For whole home natural gas solutions, network members burn brighter.
Original 16. Celebrate things done.
Coming in again, Malcolm. Here comes and then drilled it right through the pads. His 20th career. Deserve a 2-minute penalty right off the bat.
There was a time when safety in hockey was an afterthought. Thankfully, times change. This is not the reality anymore on the ice. It shouldn't be here either. The SJHL is proud to partner with SCSA to spread the message of safety to help ensure that today and tomorrow are as safe as they can be.
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Advanced power and capability to tackle the long hauls. Style to make a statement on the streets. Visit ChevroletOffers.ca to learn more.
The SJHL raffle is underway with your chance to win a brand new Polaris side-by-side, courtesy the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Tickets are available now until April 23rd, with the draw taking place live on SJHL Insiders April 27th. 1 for 25, 3 for 60, or 10 for 100, but there are only 5,000 tickets available. Get yours today at sjhlraffle.ca. Welcome back to SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. It's Rory, Jamie, and Jeremy. Thanks so much for joining us, and we're going to head back to the video chat line where we're pleased to be joined by the head coach and GM of the Flin Flon Bombers, Mike Reagan. Mike, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today. How's it going?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Oh, we're doing great. Hey, did you get some time over the weekend to get some rest? I know it's been a busy time for the Flin Flon Bombers the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I did. I got to get out on the ice and do some ice fishing with my brother, and it was a gorgeous day up here. It was 12 degrees, and yeah, it was t-shirt weather, so it was nice. We didn't catch any fish, but I did catch a phone that fell through the hole. So
that's not bad.
Yeah,
that's the biggest. Might be the biggest save of the weekend.
Yeah, it was an interesting event, that's for sure. My brother's son's friend dropped his phone in the hole there, so we had to rescue it. It took us about 4 hours, so a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure he's very appreciative of you making that save. Going back to Friday, I just want to get your thoughts on Game 5 and you guys clinching your berth in the SJHL Final. What was your thoughts on your guys' play in Game 5?
I thought that we grinded it out. I mean, much the same as the previous games in that series. Again, Humboldt's got such a good team, and they came at us hard. And I thought that Laser was spectacular, not only in that game but in the series there. So we got great goaltending, gutsy efforts by our guys. Just we're willing to sacrifice, our bodies, quite a bit, blocked a lot of shots, and just found ways to win, throughout that series. So really proud of the guys, and obviously we needed the couple extra days off here. Felt good to just kind of relax and not have to worry about going to the rink for a couple days.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. I guess one of the stories of these playoffs have been that you guys have been able to continue advancing with so many injured and sick bodies in your team. It's a little bit strange to game plan knowing that you expect to have some bodies back. Obviously, that's a good problem to have. But I guess just talk about your team progressing despite all those injuries, but then now having all those weapons back in.
Yeah, it's been really tough, and I don't want to sound like we're complaining or anything like that, but I don't know if Rory probably knows this, maybe just from broadcasting the games or calling the games, but in the final 3 games we lost players in the first 10 minutes of each period, so it was difficult. Right off the get-go, 10 minutes in, you're juggling your lines, and you've only got, the one game we had 10 forwards. The next game we had 11. The next game we had 11 as well. So we just keep finding ways to get injured, I guess. It's incredible, to be honest with you. So we were having to juggle our lines quite a bit, and just whoever was, the most rested was up next, sort of thing. So I give our guys a lot of credit, and we had, Cohen Sempton in the lineup in game 5 from the Regina Pat Seas, and he did a terrific job. That's a tough situation for a young guy to jump into and contribute and played big minutes for us. So I know that Miller did it for Humboldt there, I think in game 4, I believe, and he did a tremendous job as well. So it was tough, but I think that we're going to get some guys back here for Friday. Like I said, the rest has been very important for us.
Yeah, I guess you don't have to disclose too much. We are still about 5 days away from game 1, but where are you feeling that health is going to be leading up into game 1? Because, the style of play that you needed to play to beat the Broncos, getting in front of pucks, battling in the corners. I'm sure even the guys that were on the ice are not at 100%. So are you happy with the way maybe the team will be looking lining up in game 1?
Well, I'm definitely not telling you who's coming back.
Braden's not going to watch. Come on.
He's got a meeting.
Yeah, they probably just went home right away afterwards, right?
yeah, totally.
But no, we're going to get some guys back. And then I think what's important is the guys that are playing, that we're maybe playing through a little bit of an injury or, bumps and bruises, and everybody is at this time of the year. They're going to feel a lot more healthy and energized and that sort of thing. So, like I said, we'll be getting a few guys back here. The guys went out for a skate here today, just shoot some pucks around and stuff like that. So, we had everybody out there on the ice except for 2 guys. So we should be in a lot better shape come Friday.
That's what everyone wants to, of course.
100%. I was going to ask you, though, because of all these injuries, I mean, we've been talking about how banged up the Flin Flon Bombers have been since about mid-February, but as a result, we've seen players be elevated into different roles, and one player who's stepped up, obviously, has been Alexi Silvestri. I mean, he leapfrogged at the end of the regular season when it came to points. His postseason's been spectacular. Maybe just speak to his play being elevated at the end of the regular season and now carrying that momentum into the playoffs.
Yeah, Alexi's been unbelievable. He's such a big body, so strong. He's got a great shot. And he's just one of those guys, like you said, with more responsibilities, just gotten better and better. And, now we feel like we've added another top 6 forward, and into our top 9, I guess. And, Brent Gullichin's another guy that has been spectacular, and their futures are bright, and they make us a deeper roster. I think that's, the silver lining is that there's been a lot of guys that have been able to develop a lot here in the last 6 weeks and become more impactful, within our lineup. And, when you do get guys back, some of the more experienced guys or older guys, or, your point producers, I think that it just, it makes you that more confident as a team. And, as a coach, I know that I have a lot more trust in those players now that they've been through these situations and passed these tough tests. and they feel good about what they've contributed to our run here, and I think that they're excited about continuing that challenge.
Yeah, for sure. Mike, I'm sure it feels like it's a million years ago for you. It feels like that for me. But the regular season series with you guys in Battlefords, they won 3 of 4, but you guys had double the shots. I think the total was 202 to 108 for you guys in terms of shots. Do you take some confidence from that, or do you take anything from the season series? 2 games at a neutral site venues, which I'm sure were crazy, and then 2 at the Whitney that you guys played very well at. So what do you take from those?
I don't think it's the shots that we take a look at. I felt like we played them well, and that they were really good games, and we were right there in all of them, and we played them extremely well the first game up here, and then they showed their true colors and their ability to bounce back after a tough loss, and there wasn't a lot of losses for them this year, but I think as probably Chill and Braden there, we're pretty proud of their guys, the way they responded in game 2, and were able to find a way to win and that sort of thing. So I think, I guess we were able to get a lot of pucks to the net. I think it's no secret that that's something that we like to do. But they've got a great team there, and it's definitely going to be a tough challenge for us here, but one that we're excited about. And I think as a competitor and as an athlete, you should always want these big challenges, and that's what makes the sport so exciting.
Just a quick follow up, with that, you guys. We're without Jaden Mercier throughout a lot of these playoffs, and for a bunch of those games too against Battlefords. And there's no secret that he's one of the best players in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. He's a D1 commit. How big would it be for you guys to have him back on a regular basis? Maybe starting game 1.
Well, how good for your draft news?
Well, that's why I asked. I was actually told by Jeromy to add that because I really want to win the fantasy draft. But he's a great player. You know that better than me.
Yeah, no, I mean, Merce is probably one of the most skilled guys with the puck that I've ever coached. He makes guys miss. He's got a great hockey IQ, good vision. There's no question that we're a better team with him in the lineup. I feel like at some point you will see him there, Nuge, so hopefully he can contribute for you and contribute for us. But Merce is a heck of a player, and he gives us a better chance at winning when he's in the lineup, that's for sure.
And Mike, maybe no one knows better than you the importance of finding success on the road in the playoffs, right? Last year's finals, home team won all of it. You started off the opening round series against Estevan. Home team won the first 4. Then you win a pivotal game 6 to keep the playoff hopes alive on the road, and you haven't lost a road game since. Where are you valuing this confidence that the team has now found away from the Whitney Forum, where we know how dominant you are, but you're going to have to probably try and steal at least one in Battlefords to win the series. And now this road confidence is really blooming within the Bombers.
Yeah, Rory, it's funny because I didn't think the first half of the year we were a very good road team, and that's something that last year we got better as the season went on. And I've always said, like, if you're going to win a championship, you got to have the ability to win on the road. And, that's something that we really stress here. And I feel like down this stretch and maybe after January 10th, we're a lot better on the road. And then, obviously, we've had some success here in the playoffs, away from the Whitney Forum, and we're going to have that again here. But it's just, that's how your teams grow, I think. I think that it's always a challenge to win on the road, whether it's the regular season or the playoffs. And I think the true character of your team is shown by how you grind on the road. And we've definitely built some confidence, having the ability to do that here over the last 4 road games here, and it's put us in a good position here. So. And you know what? I've always said this, and you can ask Rob Hart, and I'm not impersonating him, guys.
Boo.
So leave that one out.
Take that out of the question.
Right now.
Dang.
But yeah, I've always said that I like starting on the road. I think for us this year when Estevan came here, I felt like we felt a lot of pressure to win both games. I mean, you know that the visiting team is just hoping for at least one. And, so we're okay with starting on the road. And now that we've built some confidence, I think in our road game, we're feeling a lot better about, the situation that we're in. But, I will say, and I don't know if you guys talked about this, but we didn't get to play in the ACC this year because both games were, in different buildings when we're on the road. So that might be advantage Battleford for sure, because our guys haven't, the new guys haven't been in that rink, and it's a tough building to play in, and they're going to have a huge crowd there, and it's going to be exciting, and thankfully we're going to get a skate there Thursday night and get to know the building a little bit.
Okay, well then I'll leave the Rob Hart impersonation question out of the rapid fire. I do have a couple for you though, starting with the same one. Brayden Klimosko was very honest when he said he would not know how to fix a tire in 10 minutes in order to make it to the rink on time. Would you?
I would know how to, but I don't think I would do it. I would just, I'd be thumbing a ride.
A best of 7 series in the Whitney Forum. We've all been there. We know how loud it is. You call your timeout with 30 seconds left. How are the players even hearing what you're saying?
They can't because I don't have a voice. I've had to use my assistant coach
practicing
to relay the message. So it's really difficult, to try to get a plan in place because it is so loud for sure.
Of course, you have a lot of veterans on this team. Who's been someone that's just been, maybe not opened your eyes, you've seen it all season long, but made his voice and his effort on the ice really jump out in terms of leading these Bombers back to the finals?
I think Ethan Mercer has probably not been given the credit that he deserves. He scored 6 goals for us so far in the playoffs and some timely goals. Someone said this to me today. I think that in every one of our wins, Mercer has scored. So hopefully we can get him to continue to produce offensively, but it's the other things that he does. I mean, he's a big body that skates extremely well and is responsible. So we're very happy with what he's done so far.
And I know Braden didn't answer this one. He said he wants to win it first. You can have the same answer, but is there something on your mind that you would like to put in the Canterra Seeds Cup that's maybe a little outside the box?
It's funny because I heard you guys ask him that question, and I was like, geez, what would I have no idea.
French fries or something?
Hey, you guys, listen, I've been in this league for 16 years now and trying to win this thing. I don't care what goes in that thing. I want an opportunity to win it. It's been a grind for sure, and something that is just kind of missing right now.
Well, best of luck.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Best of luck and congratulations on getting to the final. Best of luck in the final, and we'll see you at Game 1 on Friday in Battleford.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys, and I'll reiterate what Klimosko said. You guys do a great job, and we're looking forward to you guys, seeing there on Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. That is the head coach and GM of the Flin Flon Bombers, Mike Reagan. And of course, all of our coaches' conversations this season are presented by the Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association. A pair of great conversations, getting some insight ahead of the SJHL final, which begins this Friday. Still lots to get into. Neugsy, it's now time for Neugsy's notes. So fire away.
There you go. So I got 2 pieces of news that are very important and up to the minute, almost breaking news, not exactly, but at 11 a.m. it was announced that the Kindersley Clippers have a new / old head coach. It is Clayton Jardine, who was recently with the Camrose Kodiaks of the Alberta Junior League, was let go at the end of the year, but he's back in Kindersley. He was the coach of Kindersley in 2018-19, gave up the second fewest goals in the league that year, had some goaltender named Justin Close.
Yeah, he's all right.
I don't know if you've heard of him, but he just was in the NCAA National Championship game starting for the University of Minnesota, so that probably helped him. I'm sure he'd like to recruit Justin back again for next year. I'm not sure that's legal, illegal. But congratulations to Clayton Jardine and Kyle Adamson, the governor of the Kindersley Clippers, had this to say: "We found the best of both worlds with this hire. An established coach familiar with the community, had the ability to bring in high-end kids on recruiting, but also young enough to change, adapt, and grow. The future is very bright today." I can also say I spoke to Logan Linklater a little bit, who's expecting to be a big-time leader for the Kindersley Clippers next year. And Clayton and Logan have a little bit of a relationship from those years ago. And Logan was extremely excited about it as well, and is really happy. So the players are happy, the board of governors are happy. What more do you want? The Kindersley Clippers a bright future for sure with Clayton Jardine. And the quickly second piece of news: congratulations to the Saskatoon Blazers for winning the West Regional in Warman against the Wildcats in the West Regional, and they'll be representing Saskatchewan and the West Region at the TELUS Cup starting pretty soon. So congratulations to the Blazers and all the SJHL draft picks on that team.
And this has been another edition of Noogsy's Notes.
Love it.
Still need a sponsor, though. So if you want to sponsor Noogsy's Notes, let us know. Moving on, Players of the Week. And as Players of the Week, or as the SJHL playoffs resume and continue on, the Players of the Week, do they become easier to pick because there's less teams involved?
They might.
That's up for debate. I don't know. Anyways, let's start with SGU MVP. We've talked about him a lot for MVP this year, and rightfully so. He was the league MVP. And that's Kian Bell of the Battlefords North Stars. Noogsy, 3 goals and an assist. Another great performance by Kian.
Yeah, the conventional hockey guy thing to say is it gets harder to score in the playoffs, and the hockey's harder in the playoffs, and yada, yada, yada. Hasn't seemed to have been the case for Kian Bell, who, by the way,
he didn't get the memo.
He had 0 playoff games in his junior career coming into this season because he was on a struggling Cape Breton QMJHL team last year. But yeah, 13 goals, he had 3 goals and an assist in 2 games this past week. Nothing slowing this guy down right now. Yeah, it's Kian Bell again. Ring the bell.
Congratulations to Kian Bell, SGU MVP of the week. SaskTel goalie of the week coming from the Battlefords North Stars, Rory Josh Cote. 2 wins, a goals against average under 1, a .971 save percentage. What more do you have to say?
Yeah, not much more. And that's what Flin Flon's going to have to deal with is his Josh Cote, who's been the best goaltender of the year throughout the entire year in the SJHL. And he's showing right now that he's even elevating his game on the road. Not that he was ever a slouch, but home teams can't even score against them. So Flin Flon's going to have their hands full. And Cote, another goaltender of the week for him. Although Flin Flon's looking at their goaltender and saying we got a pretty good one as well. So, but Cote gets the nod this week over Harmon Laserhume.
All right, moving on to Super U D-Man of the week, and I'm going to let Noogsy take it because this player is on his fantasy team, and in our group chat, he said apparently he was giving him coaching advice. Tanner Gold of the Battlefords North Stars, Super U D-Man of the week, 2 assists, and obviously playing a big part in the Stars advancing to the final.
Yeah, one of those stable, full of very, very good, underappreciated, underrated defenseman on Battlefords out of Medicine Hat, and obviously hasn't been playing with Tynan Ewert, who's been the star, the top defenseman in the league either. So he's getting it done, with other partners. Obviously, there's no bad defenseman or pairing at all in this series. The decors on both these teams are unbelievable. But Tanner's a big piece for the Battlefords North Stars, and congratulations to him. And hopefully, he continues to produce for Team Noogsy in the fantasy league they have going on.
They're looking to make a push for the end of the season. Team
for
Noogsy.
silver medal.
For silver medal.
Because producer McGark has it pretty.
Yeah, producer McGark's. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. And finally, Direct West Rookie of the Week. We talked about it with head coach and GM Mike Reagan of the Flin Flon Bombers, but Rory Alexi Silvestri, another goal and 2 assists this past week, and he continues to get better and better.
Yeah, he's been an absolute force for the Flin Flon Bombers and somehow left off all 4 fantasy teams by us. I don't know how we did that and overlooking Alexei Silvestri, but when you lose Mercier, when you lose Tremblay, there was others too. Mueller was out for a little bit, Ryland Pierce again. You need someone to step up, and the fact that he's a 2004 birth year, for how big and how strong and how well he skates and his finishing ability, he's a special player, that's for sure.
He sure is. So congratulations to Alexei Silvestri, Direct West Rookie of the Week. And of course, you can read up about all the players of the week up at sjhl.ca. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about this finals, and let's do a little bit of predictions going into the final. Of course, it's going to be a very entertaining one between the Battlefords North Stars and the Flin Flon Bombers. So I'll ask you guys a couple of questions regarding this series, and I'll start with, who do you think is going to be the finals MVP? And I'll start with you, Nugsy.
Well, a big question. You know what? Again,
Tough one.
So Rory and I have been saying it for a while over this finals.
You're gonna steal my pick, aren't you?
Well, no, you're stealing mine. I don't know. But he's been unbelievable, and he hasn't been on that top Battlefords line. So I'm going to go with Mr. Steve Kesslering. He just kind of does it all for them. He's got 9 goals in 9 games as well during the playoffs.
Sure.
So I'm going to go with Mr. Steve Kesslering.
Rory?
You know what? I was going to take Kesslering, but I think stopping the Battlefords North Star, your most important player is going to have to be your goaltender. And if Flin Flon is going to help Mike Reagan win his first championship in 13 or 16 years, whatever he said it was,
16, yeah.
Harmon Laser Hume will be my pick.
That's a good pick. That's what I was leaning towards too. Let's move on to who do you think is going to be the top scorer? Rory, I'll start with you this time.
This one I'm going to go with Steve Kesslering. I think there's going to be so much attention put on to shutting down the first line that they aren't going to be able to 100%, but it's going to open up a little bit more of, not an easier matchup. Flin Flon is so good, but it's just that all that attention is going to be on the top line that I love taking Steven Kesslering in this slot. Still plays power play, still plays all the minutes as that top line does. So Kesslering leading scorer.
Nugsy?
Yeah. Man, again, as I said there a second ago, nobody seems to be able to stop Kean Bell.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody stops Kean Bell. So it's going to be Kean Bell.
All right.
Okay, that's that's a good rationale. Okay, how about leading scorer amongst defensemen? Nugsy, you can go first this time.
Yeah, I mean, I think, just because of opportunity almost, even though he's been awesome, Reese Richmond just kind of does it all, plays such huge minutes for Flin Flon, and for good reason. Big piece for them. So he's having another good playoffs, 9 assists for him, and I think he's just going to keep being such a big part as their forwards keep getting healthy up in Flin Flon. I'm going to pick Reese Richmond.
But you're probably hoping for Tanner Gold. Because he's on your fantasy
I've got Tyne and Ewart too. I mean,
okay. Fair enough.
I feel okay about that. Too,
okay, fair enough. Rory?
I'm going to stay on the Flin Flon Bombers. I'm not going to take Reese Richmond, though, and I'm going to take a little bit of a dark horse with Noah Houle, who has 6 points in 12 games. But I think this is going to be a lower scoring series.
I think so, too.
So I just think that a defenseman like Houle, he does play some power play time on the opposite unit as Richmond does there. But, you get 4 points from a D-man. I think that might lock it up.
Yep, fair enough. Okay, how about top rookie? Rory, you can go.
I mean, it's so hard to go away from Alexei Silvestri.
Yeah,
right now,
it's hard not to.
And I mean, you know what? Flin Flon is the more experienced team. Do I think that they're going to knock off the Battlefords North Stars? I don't know, but they're going to be making this a long series at least. So let's go Silvestri.
Yeah, it's hard to pick against Silvestri, but I'm gonna.
Okay.
Because as you said,
wow, what a tease.
As you said, a lot of attention from Mike Reagan's team. Alex von Sprecken, you're going to make some friends here with Kean Bell, and those guys are going to see him a lot. So what I'm going to say is a guy who's been so underappreciated this year is Jackson Allen.
Yeah.
The number 2 centerman. He's been so good between Kesslering and Brad Blake in these playoffs, too, for Battlefords. If you can find a way to stop that line, then you have a rookie on the second line center there for Battlefords. And so Jackson Allen, big fan, and I think I'm going to pick him.
All right, final one. X factor for each series for the either Battleford or Flin Flon of how that X factor is going to help them potentially to a championship, Nugsy.
X factor. Could we just say the fans are the X factor?
Hey, 100%. Think outside the box.
I think the challenge, the gauntlet is going to be constantly thrown down towards the fans of the Battlefords to say everybody's talking about the Whitney. Everybody's talking about the great fans up in Flin Flon, and fair enough. We all saw it last year.
Sure.
We want to see what you do, ACC fans. Can you bring it like they do in the Whitney? Can you make our ears numb? Can you make it hard for Mike Reagan to draw up 6-on-5 plays like it is for in the Whitney for anybody? Sure. And I believe they can. So I'm going to say the fan support. How loud can they be? Lots of people come out. The ACC, can they be as loud?
That's a good X.
I love it. I'll just rebuttal it. That's perfect.
Yeah.
You could toss in the coaches too. This is going to be an absolute battle of attrition, even in the minds of the coaches in Klimosko and Reagan. They're 2 of the most experienced guys in this league. They know how to win. Mike Reagan's been looking for his first. Klimosko's going to look for his second as a coach, 4th, combined with players. But the fans, I love that pick. So I'll just toss in the coaches as well. We know how great the players are on both teams, but yeah, it's going to come down to the X's and O's. It's going to come down to a lot outside the box, and it's going to be a wonderful series. I'm so excited.
And those were some great answers for thinking outside the box for an X Factor. Of course, obviously the SJHL final kicks off on Friday, but we need to remind you, we are less than 2 weeks away from the SJHL raffle deadline to get your tickets for the brand new Polaris side-by-side, as you can see on the screen. Tickets are on sale until April 23rd, so 2 weeks away. And then the draw will be done on April 27th, live from the Polaris dealership here in Regina. So get your tickets today, sjhlraffle.ca. 1 for $25, 3 for $60, 10 for $100. Get your tickets now. They're going fast, and you could walk away with a brand new Polaris side-by-side. And, of course, the draw is right in between Game 5 and 6. So maybe a team's already won the championship. Maybe we're going to a Game 6. TBD. But get your tickets now at sjhlraffle.ca. We are going to have a lot of content coming from the SJHL final. We're all going to be there. We already talked about that. We're going to be there for the SaskTel broadcast, which you can watch all the games on SaskTel Max for the SJHL final. But we'll all be there producing a lot of content, so be sure to stay up to date with everything for the SJHL final as the Flin Flon Bombers and Battlefords North Stars compete for the Canterra Seeds Cup. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are growing very quickly on YouTube, so be sure to go there. That's where you'll find our shows, all our features, the highlights, and much, much more. Be sure to subscribe there and follow us across all of our social media channels. And most importantly, I have to give a big thanks to all of our sponsors here at the SJHL. Canterra Seeds, SaskTel, Capital Auto Mall, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, which of course presents all of our coaches' conversations throughout the season, Chevrolet, Tourism Saskatchewan, Direct West, SGI, SGU, Great Western, Young's Equipment, RBC, thank you, and of course, over my shoulder, UPL for presenting the SJHL playoffs. Boys, before we go, final thoughts ahead of Game 1 Friday night.
Two teams remain.
Two teams remain.
Yeah, get to the rinks if you can. Get your tickets early. What we experienced last year in Estevan and the Whitney Forum was just incredible. I have no doubt it's going to be the exact same this year. Best of luck to the Flin Flon Bombers and the Battlefords North Stars. Two deserving teams that, deserve to be in the finals, and I just can't wait for the excitement because it's going to be one heck of a series. No prediction from me, though.
Nugsy?
Yeah, no prediction, but just two franchises that know how to win. They've just won year after year. Obviously, there was no championship for a couple of years because of COVID, but the one before the COVID ruined everything for a couple of years. The Battlefords North Stars won it. So Brayden Klimosko knows what it takes. Mike Reagan's been in 4 of the last 6 finals. He knows what it's like. He is going to be desperate to win for his hometown as well. The storylines are going to be tons and tons and full. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're not just saying that because we're involved. We're honestly fired up.
Yes, it's going to be a great final between the Battlefords North Stars and the Flin Flon Bombers. So be sure to get out to your local rink. And if you can't make it out to your local rink, you can catch the games on SaskTel Max, or you can catch the games on Hockey TV. But the SJHL final between the Battlefords North Stars and the Flin Flon Bombers begins this Friday night with Game 1 at the ACC. Tickets go on sale tomorrow. For Rory McGouran, Jamie Neugebauer, my name's Jeromy Corrigan, and this has been another great edition of SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.